Good afternoon, I'm Al Carruth, and I guess I'm kind of responsible for the notion that this scraper is out there and getting used. Because this is hard steel, basically what this is a piece of tool steel, a little more than 1/8 of an inch thick, that's been cut to shape, hardened, very slightly tempered just for stress relief. It's still about a Rockwell C62, I would imagine. And then they grind this little hollow in it to make it easier to sharpen, as you'll see when we get there, and surface grind it to make it flat. And what I have to do to sharpen it is take the burr off and grind the edge. It's the burr from the grinding that is actually the cutting edge. So I'm going to start with a flat stone like this and just lap this off. This is an old worn stone. Not going to take much off the surface, and it will leave me with a nice smooth edge. As you know, when you're sharpening, the idea is to have two smooth edges that intersect at an edge. Two smooth surfaces that intersect at an edge, and that's the best edge. If the surfaces themselves are rough, then the edge looks like a saw and it won't last very long. So I'm going to lap that off, and then the other thing I'll do, actually should have done first, is to make sure that this is flat by just putting this on the stone that way and lapping off, making sure that this surface is flat. Then I got to get the burr off from that. So now this is ready to sharpen. It's got, the edges is sharp, but there's no burr, and it wouldn't cut very well like that. You need to have a burr on it. Now what I've done here is to set my grinder up. I've got, this is a fine grinding wheel, and what I've done is to set the tool rest up so that it's pretty well perpendicular to the grinding wheel. What you actually want is to have a line from the center of the grinding wheel that goes out and follows that central plane of the scraper. So how you set the tool rest is going to depend a little bit on how thick the material of the scraper is. When you're first setting up, what you'll do is just take this and touch it and see where it's cutting and adjust that until it's in the middle of the thing. It can be a little hard to see if you're not used to it, and I know the camera isn't used to it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to black a part of that surface with a felt tip marker. Okay? And then I'll turn the grinder on, and I can just touch that on the, and you can see where that cut. Now that's a little up from the center of the surface, and I'm going to flip it over and try the other side, and that's also from that side up from the edge of the surface. So that means that this tool rest is just a little bit this way. You want to get it adjusted to where both of those marks show up at the same place on the surface. Now if the surface, and there you have two marks that are the same. So now this is adjusted exactly in the center. If it happened that both of those marks were on the same side, one was up and one was down, that means that the surface itself is not perpendicular that you're beginning with. But if they're both in the same place on the surface, then you're perpendicular. So now this is good to go. I can sharpen this up. And again, I'm going to take this, I should have done this to begin with. I'll put some marker on this and just show you. So here's what happens. And again, you can see where the stone has taken off material on the edges, but not in the middle in the hollow grind. And it's all the way across here and a little deeper there. So this edge was a little wavy to begin with. Not terribly so, but a little bit. So now to dress that off, I'm going to just take that part, that high spot, and just touch that a little bit. And then I can go along with a light cut. And when I start taking that flat off the sides that I made with the diamond stone, then I know I'm getting out to where I'll have a burr. Now I can go around the whole thing. You want to try to get even pressure and a nice smooth stroke. So you take about the same amount of material off everywhere. Just take it off lightly. And now this has a bit of a burr all the way around, although it needs a little more right there. And we take about 2 more passes there. And that's sharp. And I can go back over here and take off nice shavings with that. This edge will last a good long time, much longer than it would on a spring steel scraper, again because this is hard steel. And as you see, it's very easy to sharpen.